It's Aaron Cofield Barker, joined by Joe Sinagra on the Trash Talking and Giving Back podcast. Joe is the do-it-all guy over at Myers Containers. The weather has turned. We often talk about the weather, I feel like, these days as we segue into how the week has been, Joe. But I feel like it's getting to be like ideal weather for your guys out there working hard every day.
Yeah, they love it. I was talking to one of the guys this morning about, nice, cool morning. So it's great. And it's easy when they're moving around. They're not in love with it being staying darker a little longer in the morning. But besides that, they do like it. And of course, we get done early, or they get done early. So they love by 2 o'clock when they're getting done for the day. It's peak weather, and they're just enjoying being able to have the rest of the day in nice weather.
Perfect. I was going to tell you, I was going to ask you about this before, but I forgot. But I'm just going to roll with it. I have been educating a lot of people on the number one fact I've learned from doing this podcast, which is that there is one landfill and it is going to fill up in our lifetime. Okay. So I told some of my girlfriends the other day, because she just had surgery. And as I was leaving, she's like, "Oh, could you throw that box of medicine that came in the garbage for me?" And I was like, "Oh, it's heavy. Are you sure you got everything out? I see styrofoam and cardboard." She's like, "Yeah, just in the trash." And I was like, "Oh, this isn't good. The landfill is going to fill." And they giggled at me a little bit. But then they told me that in Colorado, this happened and they turned it into a ski mountain.
Yeah, and it is amazing. And other places all around the country have done really interesting things. You cross the border into Canada where they don't really recycle, and they actually dig holes and they put the trash, they go down, not up with their trash.
And that's the ultimate recycle, though. We recycled our landfill into a ski mountain. I feel like Vermont could do that.
Well, as a 80s kid, going to a ski mountain inside a mall a couple weeks ago was definitely a top 10 things for me.
In a mall?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah. Well, our guest, who's coming on, grew up not far from it, and just attached to MetLife Stadium. As a sports fan, there is the second biggest mall in America. It's attached to MetLife Stadium, and one of their attractions is a ski mountain.
All right, well, let's see. I didn't even know you were going to segue into bringing him in. Let's bring him in and we can ask him if he's been or not. We have Mark Redmond, who's the executive director of Spectrum Youth and Family Services. Mark shared with us he's been up here for about 23 years, which is a year shy of how long Joe's been married. I also learned that recently. But Mark is from Long Island. Mark, have you been to this huge mall with this attraction in it?
No. Where is this, Joe? By Giant Stadium in New Jersey?
It's called MetLife Stadium now, but yes, it's attached to MetLife, and second biggest mall in America. I was just there a few weeks ago. It has a indoor ski mountain, and it has a skate park, and it has something like 1.3 million square feet of retail space. And as a 80s kid, getting my Debbie Gibson on right in the food court is right up my alley.
And the Jonas Brothers, too. Yeah, so I'm driving to see my brother in Bath, New Jersey. I'm going to go right by that stadium. I may take a little detour and see if Joe...
They even have valet parking, which was definitely a first for me, to go to the mall and have valet parking.
There you go. All right, I will report back to you, Aaron, if he's telling us the truth. All right?
Don't forget, you may need to bring your skis.
It's skiing in October. Why not? Why not? I know.
All right, well, Mark is on the podcast today to talk to us about Spectrum Youth and Family Services. We've got a lot of different things that we'll touch on. But, Mark, give us first just kind of the elevator pitch, just the brief explanation of who you guys are and what it is you do.
Sure. So Spectrum started 50 years ago. In fact, rock star Cyndi Lauper stayed at Spectrum when she was a homeless teenager in the 1970s. She was on the CBS Morning News recently and talked about staying at a shelter in Burlington. Of course, I was screaming at the TV, "It was Spectrum! Come on, Cyndi, say it was Spectrum." So we've been around for 50 years. I've been here for almost 23 years. And a lot of our work, we do work with some younger kids, but I'd say our sweet spot is that 18 up to 22 range. of youth. A lot of things end at 18 for young people in Vermont. A lot of kids exit the foster care system at 18, and they try and go back to the home they might have been removed from when they were babies, and it doesn't work out. And then they start couch surfing with friends, and that ends, and they become homeless. So that's a big contingent of who we work with. Then there's a whole contingent of young people who are in the children's mental health system and got some great help from Howard Center, the Brattleboro Retreat. We have some very good mental health agencies. Now they turn 18. You think, okay, so now they're going to transition into the adult mental health system, right? Well, not so fast, because the diagnosis that you had that allowed you to get into the children's system is a different from what you know, or your IQ could be a couple of points high. So you have this huge number of young people, very sad, who have suffered from mental health disorders. They become homeless. So I would say those are two very big drivers of who comes to. Now we have a beautiful drop-in center in Burlington. Now we opened one in St. Albans. You can come in, it used to be Monday to Friday. Now it's any day of the week, any day of the year. Come on in and have lunch, dinner, breakfast, tons of donated clothes, take a shower, do your laundry there, and then we'll start talking to you about, hey, when was the last time you had a medical checkup? Because we have a health clinic right in our building. Doctors, nurses, physician's assistants. Do you have a job? We have 4 staff linked to all area employers. We'll help you find a job. Did you drop out of high school? Great. Let's go to VSAC or let's go to CCV and start taking college courses. So it all starts with that drop-in center. And upstairs, we'll talk in a minute, we have 16 beds upstairs too. So if you're literally sleeping in a car that night, we have a place for you to stay that night.
So if we want to, your new facility, I lived in St. Albans for 20 plus years. Talk to us about where the facilities are actually located, both in Burlington and in St. Albans.
Burlington, right downtown, 177 Pearl Street. And, many realtors have offered me money for that building, but it's the perfect building because it's downtown and that's where homeless youth are. So that's where that building is. And St. Albans is interesting. 10 years ago, the state asked us, will you start working with young people who are ready to leave foster care in St. Albans? We said, sure. We hired 2 workers to do it. And those workers said to me, Spectrum needs to be in St. Albans in a bigger way. So you just saw that beautiful picture of our drop-in center in St. Albans. We opened up, we had a major donation. A family came to us and said, we want to give you over $200,000. What do you need it for? I said, we need to open up a drop-in center in St. Albans. So we opened it up, and it's beautiful. So we were giving, food and mentoring and clothing and, all. But at the end of the day, Erin and Joe, my staff, are like, at 6 p.m., we got to close. And there are a certain amount of kids that have nowhere to go. They have nowhere to go. That's the photo. It's beautiful there. And so I went to the legislature 2 sessions ago and I said, listen, we're handing out sleeping bags and tents at 6 p.m. to 18-year-olds. This is Vermont. It's freezing and they're sleeping in the back of a car or in a tent or a storage unit or a garage. So the legislature gave us the money, and then a family donated $1 million to us. They don't even live in St. Albans. They don't even live in that county. Anonymous donation, $1 million. So we created 10 more beds, 3 blocks up. So this on St. Albans, there you go, 223 Lake Street, beautiful. 3 blocks up, 145 Lake Street is the brand new. We opened it up in June. So now no more sleeping bags, no more tents. If you're a young person, you have nowhere to go. There it is, beautiful video. You can see it's gorgeous how we renovated it. It's a nice, clean, warm, caring place where you can stay. So I like both models. We're kind of duplicating in St. Albans everything that we've been doing in Burlington for a long time.
And then I think I read that you now have the drop-in center is open year round now? It's not just a winter thing. Everything is all year round now. Is that?
Oh, yeah. So the drop-in center used to be Monday to Friday. Now that's 7 days a week. And then you're right. So about 10 years ago in Burlington, we have 16 beds and they were always full, especially in the winter. So I'm a Catholic. I went to Bishop Coyne and said, hey, Bishop, you have 2 churches downtown. Can you give me something to use during the winter? We're turning kids away. It's cold. So he said, yeah, go use it. There's a church hall there. So for about 4 years, he let us use 10 beds, just November to March. But what we found was, come March, there were still kids with nowhere to go. So we moved it over a few blocks down. It's on the corner of Maple Street and South Winooski, and it's 10 beds, although I'll tell you, when it gets cold, we'll sneak up to 14 kids in there. So now we have almost 30 beds in Brooklyn. So we have I call it like a conveyor belt. A lot of kids will start at what we call the nightly shelter. Get you out of the cold and the rain, keep you safe. You do well there, you move up to the 8 beds on Pearl Street, okay? Now you're going to now we're going to talk about work and school. You do well there, you move to the 8 apartments in the front of the building. Now you're paying a little rent. We have someone on staff who will help you learn how to drive a car, which is a necessity in Vermont. Now let's talk about getting training to learn a skill, starting a bank account, what credit card debt is. I was lucky to have parents teach me these things. Yeah. We're going to teach these kids all these skills while they live with us. And then they move on. We have a young woman now interning with us, getting her master's degree. 8 years ago, she was living in the back of a car. And somebody called and told me, and she lived with us. We have a young woman working in our drop-in center. She used to come to our drop-in center for help about 7 years ago. So we're starting to see kids who we've helped move on in life, and now they're coming back to work for us. So that tells you we're doing something very right when you see that 360 degrees.
Now, Mark, you talked about how expensive it is to run these programs and how your donors come. There's so many wonderful charities throughout the state, but sort of the events that go around those charities, I'm always fascinated by, and the outreach you have. And one of my ones that I enjoy the most is your sleep out that, as a former St. Albans resident, you've done it in St. Albans many years, and of course down here in Burlington. So maybe talk about that sleep out. Those who don't know it might explain it a little bit more, and sort of how you raise your money from there.
Yeah, sure. So, there's a million events, right? And in this state, we had done a bike race, we did an adult prom, and all these events cost a lot of money to put on. And then one year I saw on Facebook that a nonprofit where I used to volunteer in New York City did this sleep out. And they had all these, it was in New York City, they had all these Broadway stars and corporate leaders. So I hit the share tab, sent it to my, I said, should we try this? And they were like, yeah, let's try it. Maybe we'll get 10 business leaders to sleep. Well, we had 40 people sleep outdoors, and it raised $90,000, and there was no cost, right? There's no caterer, there's no hotel, very simple. So the next year we said, well, that was cool. Let's do that again. So then we started to get corporate teams. So Key Bank, People's Bank, Dealer, and then a little competition going. So that raised $140,000. And then a little girl up in Westford, 9-year-old girl, her mom emails me, my daughter wants to sleep outside in our backyard. Is that okay with you? So I said, sure. So the little girl sleeps out in her backyard, sends us a check for $675. Wow. She did her own little GoFundMe. So after that, I said to my son, who was 9, hey, if the little 10-year-old girl can go, you get your little butt out there. So then he did it. So now we have hundreds of high school, middle school, soccer teams, baseball, swim clubs, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, youth groups, Burlington High School, hundreds of kids, Rice High School, CV, all of them sleeping out, raising, tens of thousands of dollars for us. So what started out was a cute little idea that I saw on Facebook has just blown up. But what's good about it? It raises a lot of money, no cost, but it changes people's consciousness. We always make you do the sleep out on a Thursday night so that you have to go to work the next day. And I'm telling you, when you wake up and you got maybe 2 hours of sleep because you were cold, the church bells are ringing, people getting out of 3 needs, making a lot of noise and yelling at, ambulances are going by. You wake up and you're like, man, this would be really hard to be a teenager and live this way and have to go to school, right? So it changes. We asked people to write stuff afterwards. People have written very powerful things about, we make so many suppositions about what it's like to be homeless. But to try it even for one night shows you how brutal it is, So
If it was Mark, if it was like 12 years ago in Re-Raws, it might have been Aaron stumbling out of the bar.
Re-Raw. All at dealer.com used to go to Re-Raw first.
That's where I met my husband.
I love Re-Raw. Good place to meet a spouse. Love Re-Raw.
12 years ago, Joe. I like that you think my social life ended 12 years ago. My kids are only 3.5 and 2. It didn't end that long ago. Mark, tell me, you guys also, another big fundraiser for you guys you do every fall is involves soup, right, in a bowl. Tell me about that one.
Same thing. I don't know, 15 years ago, development directors, hey, we're going to do an empty bowl. I was like, what's that? She goes, just show up at this church hall and get ready to say a few words. So it was like 30 of us in the first congregational church in the cafeteria there. And a couple of restaurants donated soup, and it raised no cost. It raised a lot of money. So then we said, let's try that. Now it's 400 people at the Davis Center, 10 different restaurants. Hen of the Wood is sending us soup this year. All these great, all free. They send us all free. The bread is donated, the desserts. So people like it because they feel like, wow, the money I'm spending to go to this is going to the mission. It's not going to the hotel or the caterer. So anyway, we've been doing that now for like 15 years.
Well, and that's another. People get it's like it's not just like a bowl. It's like
you get a beautiful bowl. We have some of the best artisans in Vermont provide the gorgeous bowls. My entire cabinet is stacked with bowls. I don't have any room left. And so you get a beautiful bowl and then delicious soups, and then we have celebrity soup servers. The police chief, John Burke's going to be a celebrity. The mayor's going to be a celebrity. My son, Liam's going to be a celebrity soup server because he just won the Forbes 30 Under 30 award this year, which is cool. And we have these local celebrities, and they're serving donated. And I always say, we get you at 5:30. We get you at home to watch the beginning of the World Series. We're going to get you. Some of these events go on hours and hours and hours. We're like, no, we're going to get you home so you can watch baseball if you want. So it's...
So Mark, talk a little bit about how many people you actually serve in the course of a year or a month. I think, we hear all of these numbers about, how many homeless we have in the area and homeless youth.
Yes.
But how many people are you interacting with and providing services for?
Last year, we worked with 1,434 young people. Now, not every one of those young people were homeless, okay? We do a lot of mental health and addiction counseling also. Those could be for low-income children, but also middle-class families, upper-middle-class families. There's a family who we helped their daughter years ago, and they donate $250,000 to us every year. That is not, a low-income family. And then we work with kids, helping them graduate from foster care and move on. We're up to 96 mentors right now. Schools call us, guidance counselor, say we got a young man, no dad, 14. He's starting to cut school. He's starting to smoke pot. His mother's worried about him. Can you find a mentor for him? So we match mentors with young people who are struggling. Multicultural youth program. A couple of years ago, I'll be honest with you, we were a white agency working with white young people with an all-white staff and white. Now we have staff who speak about 5 or 6 different languages. They're in Essex High School, they're in Winooski, and we're in Burlington, working with young people of color, immigrants, helping them finish school, learn how to drive a car, how to get a job. So we do, not everybody's homeless. That's important. That's what we're known for. That's a big piece of our work, but we work with so many other youth who are struggling with maybe mental health or poverty, illiteracy, whatever it is. We're working with them in a variety of ways.
Well, and I love that you guys try to keep their wheels moving forward, right? Like, it's not, whether it's homeless or they're just struggling, it's not just like, oh, we'll help you in the moment. We'll give you a place to sleep tonight. Like, it's like, we'll give you a place to sleep tonight, but also we want to help you figure out how to avoid needing this place to sleep tonight on your own, right? And like show them, because I'm sure a lot of times like confidence in that they can do it or can navigate how to do it, right? Sometimes you just need someone to show you, hey, it's not that hard. Let's call Myers Containers because I hear that they're often hiring people, and let's see if they need anyone right now, and you can go and work for them. Like, I love that it's, moving it forward to try to help solve the problem, not just putting a Band-Aid on the current problem and thinking it's going to magically go away.
That's such a good way to put it. Because I had worked years ago at a place that had kids had 30 days. You're not going to do a heck of a lot in 30 days.
No.
But kids who live with us or they're with us like a year and a half, you can actually get a lot done, you know? And there's going to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back, just like you said, 3 steps forward, a step back. And then they gain the confidence. You're right. You know, a lot of these, if we said to a kid in the first day, hey, let's go to Myers, they're not going to have the confidence to even do that. But as we can work with them and help them and encourage them, maybe a month later or 2 months later. You know, I've seen kids, they got a job, they lost a job. Then they got another job, they stayed 2 months, they lost a job. Then they got another job, they stayed 6 months, you know. I've seen kids go through that. They just didn't grow up with a lot of the encouragement. My parents encouraged me. I got a paper route as soon as I turned, 12, you know. And they encouraged me, you know. And then I got a job in a lumber yard as soon as I turned 16. I grew up in a family where I saw my parents go to work, and they encouraged me and my siblings, and we've all gone on to successful careers. But you're talking about kids will say to me, yeah, I kind of know my dad, or my mom's in prison, or my dad lives in one of the homeless. I mean, it's really sad. They just didn't get what I got, and hopefully you two got growing up, which is the kind of role models and the kind of encouragement how to succeed in life. So the thing we have in our advantage is they're still young. 17 and 18 is still young. You have a lot of potential at that age. And I feel like we're able to grab them and help them move ahead.
So, you know, you've been around so long and we know about you, but how are you reaching out to some of these young people who might not know about you? Are you in schools? How are they finding you?
That's a good question. We are in schools. We're in a lot of schools now. And you know, they know about us. We're constantly sending out, and word of mouth is the biggest. If you were like a homeless youth and you ended up in Burlington, you came to Church Street, probably within about 45 minutes, somebody's going to say to you, hey, this place Spectrum is around the corner and you can go get a free lunch there, or you can go get a free dinner, you know, or even they might have a bed for you. So word of mouth, but the police know us. Howard Center, we have a great collaboration with the Howard Center, right? They have their street outreach team. We call them, they call us. So the collaboration is the key. No one organization can do it on their own. They cannot, you know? So that's why I'm always like, who else is, you know, the Boys and Girls Club, the King Street Center, Howard Center, you know, NFI. How do we constantly work with these organizations for the betterment of our city and now St. Albans? Same thing.
Yeah, so you all have the same goal. It doesn't matter who's helping the kid, where they reach out to. You all want the same thing at the end of the day. Yeah. Did you get a copy of that file from Cyndi Lauper? And have you contacted her people yet to be like, Cyndi, we got to get you up here to sleep out with us, or we got to get you to do something?
Oh, I've tried. I have a friend in Hollywood. It's like, come on, man, you got to connect me to Cyndi Lauper actually is very generous. She has her own foundation. Hasn't given us, but that's okay. There's a lot. That's okay. We love Cyndi. Does a lot of work with LGBTQ kids. She helps Outright Vermont, which is here in Burlington. Yeah. So Cindy's very generous. But if she listens to this podcast, Cyndi, come back and visit us.
You gotta get that clip and just start sharing it and sharing it and sharing it.
She went to Johnson State for a short time. And,
that's right. You're right.
She spoke. She spoke at Linden State's graduation a few years ago, and she told the story how she got expelled from the dorms at Johnson because she had a dog and she wasn't allowed to have a pet, and she had a dog in the dorms at Johnson.
And now here I am doing the graduation speech. So don't worry about it if you get expelled. Just keep on powering through with your dreams.
Exactly.
Cyndi knows. Cyndi knows. She's a good person. She's a really good person.
All right. So to round out every podcast, we do the segment called Trashy or Not. Are you up for joining us for this week's Trashy or Not? Joe is going to ask us a question, and we will share whether we think it is trashy or not to do whatever the question is.
I'm up for it.
All right, let's do it.
So one of the things that we all do nowadays is we go to the internet to ask for advice on social media. Has anybody have a good Italian restaurant? Or we ask advice, and then we also have people who will post their reviews. This food was great. This place, this car mechanic wasn't the best. So we all expect that. But my question is, trashy or not, you go someplace and you have an interaction with the business and you're not happy with the interaction, and you and the business, come to a resolution, but maybe you're not the 100% happy with it. Is it trashy to go to social media and voice your displeasure about the way they solved your problem? So it's not your way. So you don't like your cheeseburger that you got at a restaurant. You complain to the restaurant. They say, I'm sorry you don't like it. We're going to give you half off your meal or whatever it is. But you want your whole meal free. And then you go to Facebook or Twitter or Instagram and bitch and complain that your whole meal wasn't free. Is it trashy to bitch about bitch about a place after they solved your problem, but not the way you wanted it solved?
I want Aaron to go first.
That's fine. I'll go first. I'm going to say it is. And I'm someone, I'm a daughter of a lot of small business owners. I've worked in restaurants, and the fact that they at least tried should be enough, right? It's not like you were just like, and especially, right, and I think, and this is kind of like an overriding problem these days, but people sometimes, right, get a little bit entitled with like, especially if like the menu was very clear on what you were getting and your expectation was just different, but they did all that they could. Like, I just think that sometimes people need to take a step back and think of what all went into what they're getting and what they're doing. And I feel like often it's at like the $10 burger joint where people are shouting the loudest. And I think there should be an appreciation for that. They tried to make it right because they could have just told you, oh, well. But I also think it's one thing to post it on your own wall and just be like, man, I was kind of like bummed. And then your friends will all kind of be like, you shouldn't have been. But it's another when people take it to the next level and go start like a Reddit thread or go on like the Facebook groups about dining out in the area. Because as I was taught early on when I started working in television, it was like one angry person is going to shout so much louder than 10 people who think you're doing a great job. And unfortunately, people will hang on to the shouting and just it'll snowball. And like, you're just hurting your friends and neighbors who are just trying to have a business at the end of the day. Just if you don't like it, that's fine. Mentally note it and don't go back. So I'm going trashy.
I'm with Aaron, actually. It'd be one thing if they said, the heck with you, but if they're at least trying to make amends, give you half off, it would have been nice if they gave you, another free meal. But they kind of went halfway. And, the margins on restaurants today, as Aaron probably knows, very small. These families are trying to make a living, And I'm with Aaron. Yeah, I wouldn't do it. If they gave me half off in the next meal, I'd let it lie. If they rebuffed me completely, then I might be, hey, wait, that was not right.
Well, it reminds me of people who there's a lot of people I've come across in life where it's like, feel like I could give you $1 million, and instead of you being happy, you'd be like, well, why isn't it $2 million?
Yeah.
And so it's just like those people just exist.
They're out there.
The old fable about the man who was given a ham, and he complained that he didn't have any bread to make a sandwich.
Yeah. Fair. So yes, I think it irks me when I see people on social media being so loud and annoyed and angry, especially if I feel like they are being a little bit entitled with it. But then I don't want to pour gas in the fire, so I just have to scroll. But it is hard sometimes in this day and age.
I'm with Aaron. Absolutely. We're in agreement on this one.
Yes, I love it.
Cool.
All right, for more information on Spectrum Youth and Family Services, I'm sure you could Google it, but what exactly is the website, Mark?
SpectrumVT, like in Vermont.org.
All right. And if anyone knows Cyndi Lauper, send her our way so we can send her Mark's way and we will get the credit for it.
Yes, you will.
Or if anyone happened to record, if anyone recorded CBS This Morning the other day on their TV, record the video and send it to Mark.
Excellent. Good.
Right,
well, thanks for having me on. I enjoyed this immensely. Thanks for doing the podcast. It's
of course.
Good, my friend Christine Bickford on. I love her.
She was our number one.
Our first
She's
number
awesome.
one.
She's
She was
awesome.
the first one.
She's a great person. So
Yeah,
you're doing a great job with the podcast, and I appreciate you inviting me on.
Oh, thank you so much. For everyone listening that agrees, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast, and we will see you guys all again next week.